start. In keeping with yesterday's celebration of Guru Purnima, I thought today we would talk a little bit about how to deepen our relationship with the Guru. And of course, the subject of the Guru is strangely controversial to some people. There have been people who taught in the past that you don't need a guru, that you shouldn't have a guru, that nobody should tell you what to do or impose their will on you. It's interesting, though, that people who say that, as far as I can tell, have no idea what the guru is. Because the guru's purpose is not to tell you what to do, to control you, to be your master in the sense of being your boss. We have to go back to understanding exactly what the guru is in order to understand how to deepen that relationship. We have many teachers in life. We have, I don't know how it is here in India, but in America, in most public schools, every year you get a new teacher. You go to the next grade, you get a new teacher. And there really isn't anyone that follows your educational career all the way through except your parents. And so there isn't this sense that any one person has a lifelong influence over who you'll end up being and how your career as a student will go. But it's interesting that people are so against being told what to do. And you say, well, why is that? And the reality is that the ego, this sense of I-ness, I know I grew up with this extremely strongly, which means I was very egotistical. Nobody can tell me what to do. Well, there's some positive there. The positive is that you can become independent, that you can learn to stand on your own 2 feet. And of course, this is important. And in fact, this is the goal of the Guru. The goal of the Guru is to help you to stand on your own 2 feet spiritually. But in order to do that, you have to grow into that capability. If we were born not needing to grow, then we wouldn't need any guidance. But we don't have any trouble taking guidance in school. Teachers tell you what to do all the time. You seem to think that's okay. If you go to a music instruction, your teacher will tell you how to play. If you go to engineering school, the professor will tell you how to be an engineer. And yet when it comes to the spiritual life, we don't like that. No one should tell me what to do. It's just between me and God. Well, then we have to ask, well, how is that going? How is it going between me and God? If it's working well, then you may feel there's no need. But you don't meet many people who are feeling like their relationship with God couldn't be improved. Oh no, it can't get any better than this. Usually there's room for improvement. Priyanandaji used to say when asked this question, do you need a guru? He'd say, no, you don't need a guru until you get to the point where you really want to know God. Then you need a guru. The guru is not just a teacher. The guru is not just a person, someone who, like an uncle or an aunt, who takes a special interest in you in your life, or a godparents, someone who has just taken a personal interest in you. the guru is, the true guru, the Sadguru, is God. Yoganandaji used to say that the guru is God. So when we look at the pictures of the masters here, what were we looking at? The role that they played in this outward life that we experience, or are we seeing them in their true reality, which is expressions of infinite spirit? The Sadguru is infinite spirit coming through a very specific form in order to bring the light into this world to any souls that may be interested. It's not God's intent to corral everybody like sheep and make them go in any given direction. God wants the creation to continue. So God allows that we can do whatever we want. But if we want God, then we are going to need help. And you have to ask, why wouldn't I want help? Why wouldn't I want help? What in me would cause me to resist the idea that I could be helped? And this is a key thing to understand, even once we have a guru, is that it's the nature of the ego to resist that transformation. The ego doesn't want to die. And the spiritual life is the death of the ego. So the ego is just saying, oh, wait a minute. And even once we decide that we want to know God, there's a part of us that wants to, and then there's the part of us that has been playing in the creation that doesn't want to stop playing, the ego, because the ego doesn't want to die. So we have to struggle with our own self. And this is the story that Kriyanandaji often told, and Master told, about the fellow who was being bothered by a negative spirit, and he had been told that if you do this certain mantra, then it'll stay away. And then he went to bathe in the river, and when he came out, having had said the mantra, the evil spirits has already got into you before you said the mantra. We are poisoned by the ego, even though we want to be free of the ego. We have found ourselves in a situation where we think we know what to do, but we don't. We think we can do it on our own, but we can't. And the thing is if we were learning to ride a bicycle, we wouldn't be offended by help. We'd go, oh yeah, please help me. But the reason that the ego pushes it away is because the ego doesn't want to die. And the ego knows that no, don't get involved in this. And the other, another factor in this is that there are many quote-unquote gurus that are not consciously one with God. That doesn't make them bad or all bad or even a little bad. They're probably mostly good because they too have been interested in the spiritual life. But they still carry the ego. And this is the difference between a true guru and a lesser guru. It's not wrong to say that your music instructor is your music guru. These are how we use these words. But we have to understand the difference underneath. And the difference underneath is, Kriyanandaji used to tell the story about when he took singing lessons. And his music teacher said, at one point she said, I'm only living to see you to be a great singer. When the teacher is living through the disciple, there's a problem. When the teacher identifies their own success, their own sense of well-being with the disciple, there's a problem. When the guru requires the disciple to support them, requires the disciple to do things for them, then there's a problem. When the guru thinks that they are the savior of the world, and everybody better pay attention and keep me in good cars and nice clothes, then there's a problem. If the guru spends a lot of time complaining about other gurus, there's a problem. If we want to deepen our relationship to the guru, we have to recognize who we're having that relationship with. Yoganandaji went into a disciple's room one time at Mount Washington and saw that he had taken many pictures of him. And Yogananda said, you've taken all these pictures, get to know me inside. If you look only at the body, you see just a little bit. But if you learn how to look at the totality, you learn how to look at God, to experience God. So one of the key things to understand when relating to all spiritual inspiration is that we don't want to go to the inspiration, we want to go through the inspiration. If you go to a place of pilgrimage, don't worship the building. Worship the spirit that you feel connected to through being in that vibrational presence. So yes, we can love this place, we can love that person. But if we only love an ego, a building, some limited form, then we'll never go past that. We have to go through that to infinite spirit. And when we learn to connect to spirit in that way, then we can begin to see spirit in everything. In the beginning, everything is separate. But as we grow spiritually, and as the guru is an expression of it, has accomplished the goal of becoming one with infinite spirit and sees only spirit and expresses only spirit. And so when we relate to the guru, we have to learn how to relate on this deeper inner level. There was been many great disciples of masters throughout history who spent very little time in the physical presence of their guru. But the spiritual practice that they did was in harmony with the instructions and the blessings of their guru. And this is the key, is that yes, it would be optimal if every time you meditated, you first drew on the presence of the guru and look into their eyes and feel their presence, or remember something inspirational that was strong enough for you to feel the guru's vibrations, and then with that presence, do your spiritual practice. But do you think that the guru's upset with you? No, wait a minute. You can't practice meditation without thinking about me first. No, it's not like that at all. The guru is God. God has given this particular expression the responsibility to free us spiritually. To come into that relationship is the greatest gift in the spiritual life. Because can you imagine the most powerful person on earth sends a messenger to you and says, I am going to personally guarantee your success in life. You'd be thinking, wow, things are looking good. Well, imagine I don't mean just imagine, but the guru is infinite spirit saying, I will bring you back to infinite consciousness if you will enter into this relationship. I will not force it on you. You must consciously, actively, honestly, devotionally, with all of your inner determination, enter into this relationship. And through that effort, through that attunement, through that involvement, then you will be freed from the limitations of the ego. People, Yoganandaji used to say, they're so clever in their ignorance. If we want to be free, we should take advantage of every opportunity to deepen that potential. And there is no opportunity greater than the Guru. So now, the Guru is God. Guru is infinite spirit. The Guru is always present. Yoganandaji said that he went through the lives of his disciples every day. And when some of them traveled and had conversations that he was not physically present, he proved that he was present sufficiently to quote what they had been talking about, and then say, not such a good idea, when they talked about subjects that weren't beneficial. The Guru is always present because the Guru is God. God is by definition always present. So, why aren't we aware of that presence? Because we're not paying attention to it. We're not fully entering into it. We are distracted by the little realm of thoughts that we live in. In order to become magnetized, a bar of metal needs to be introduced to a magnetic field, and or a strong flow of energy that creates a magnetic field. And in that process, the molecules of that unmagnetized piece of metal become aligned and magnetized. And this is what happens in the spiritual life. We become magnetized with the vibrations, with the energy flow, with the blessings of the Guru. And it's our responsibility as disciples to enter into that flow, to do whatever we can to increase our magnetic being in the presence of the magnetism, and then being completely open to, if we resist it, then it's more difficult for that change to take place. So in our case, Yoganandaji is no longer in the body. How can we be in that magnetic field that we normally associate with a human form? Well, remember that it's not the human form by itself, although why do we bury saints and not cremate them? Because there's a holy vibration still there. But ultimately speaking, that vibration is residual. It's the power that created that vibration is still alive in spirit. And so we have to connect to that alive presence in spirit. And of course, all of the spiritual practices that we do are beneficial for this. And Yoganandaji said time and time again that the practice of Kriya Yoga is the most powerful tool. Kriya Yoga and devotion. Because the practice of Kriya without devotion and attunement is not the same. If you were to say, well, how can you practice Kriya correctly? You have to practice it with attunement to the Guru, openness. Allow God to do Kriya through you. Ask the Guru, say, Lord, meditate through me. Master, guide my meditation. Have this ongoing relationship in which you are consciously requesting, attuning to, and entering into. And over time, when we practice through the years, this inner relationship, you begin to see the divine response to where you trust it. You've seen it happen, how when you attune yourself, things work out. Sometimes in very matter-of-fact ways, sometimes in more dramatic ways. But in any case, you see how things generally go in a good direction. So that is how we develop faith. We develop faith based on this experience. Without faith, then we're, oh, I wonder if the Guru will bless me. I wonder if the Guru is present. I wonder if if God even knows I exist. But when we have fully entered into this relationship, we begin to trust it. And the Guru doesn't require that trust, but we are required to enter into it if we want to go to that deeper level. The Guru is never has the intent to impose on us. The Guru is, as Yoganandaji said, I killed Yogananda long ago. No one dwells in this form but God. He's past even humility. Because to be humble, you have to have an ego. Humble the ego. But when the soul is free, then all of the descriptions that we talk about, human expressions, have been transcended. Even though when the masters incarnate, they are humble. But there's no identification with that humility. It's just a natural expression of infinite spirit. So when we want to deepen our relationship with the Guru, we have to do what the Guru says, follow the Guru's instructions. But that's not the same as the Guru imposing those instructions. What it is the disciple, the student saying, please instruct me. I want to hear your instructions. When you have requested instructions, it's not an imposition. It's not somebody saying, you have to do what I say, whether you want to or not. That's a completely different circumstance. So now, if we have given ourselves to our instructor, and then they have to impress upon us, because we've not been getting the message, says, you've got to do what I'm telling you, then another person may see that conversation and go, oh, it's really bossy. No, he's not being bossy. He's being committed to the relationship. He's doing what needs to be done in order for us to get the message. Because even though we say, I want to know, we often go, I want to know, but maybe not that much right now. Let's save knowing that until I know every other thing, because that I enjoy doing. That I have attachments to from the past. But then it's so easy to look at the way that God instructs us, and then we might resist and say, oh no, let's not do that now. When in fact, God knows the order of things that, when is the best time to share this information? When is the best time to test on this area of accomplishment? God knows what we need. And our challenge is to resist the ego's tendency to push it away, even though we want it. Many relationships are stormy. There's a lot of, outward excitement taking place. And depending on our nature, the quirks of the personality that we live through at this time, we may have a stormy relationship with the Guru. We may resist the Master, resisted Sri Yukteswar at times. And this is shocking. How can perfect God, communicating with perfect God, have miscommunication? And this is one of the great mysteries. It's easy to say, well, when even God, when coming into this form, once you take on a form, you take on certain limitations, the quirks of that personality. Because from God's view, all of those quirks are immaterial. They're just part of the rainbow of life, just variations of the creation. But from our ego's point of view, then we're going, oh, okay, so it's okay for me to disagree. Well, yeah, it is. It's okay for us to disagree. We are supposed to think for ourselves. But we have to be careful about how we disagree. There's when people have communication and they are not agreeing, there's a point at which it's friendly, and then there's a point at which people pull out their swords. And they start going, you need to agree with me. And it was so interesting. There was a time when Master left the ashram. And when he came back, and he was surprised that Sri Yukteswar wasn't upset with him. And Sri Yukteswar said, why should I be upset with you? I don't require anything of you. You don't have to do anything here. The Guru's, and of course, Master was playing that role to instruct us. The Guru's role is not to impose on us. That means that we have to not only request, we have to request the Guru's guidance. We have to request the Guru to enter into and guide our lives. But we also have to stay open to that guidance regardless of whether we think it's the right guidance or not. We may say, no, sir, well, a little more sugar in this particular meal. But if we do that, and it's natural because we're growing disciples to resist at times, we have to understand that that's what's taking place. And then we have to resisting. Well, you catch yourself and you go, oh, I see what I'm doing. I'm resisting. And this is, over the years at Ananda, we've seen so many people come and go that you begin to see the patterns. You begin to see how things build up and how they continue. And the things that make people successful spiritually. And number one in the spiritual life is attunement. Attunement to the Guru. And attunement to the Guru means openness. It means that you're consciously participating in the relationship and that you're open to whatever takes place. And that you never put up a barrier. Or if you put up a barrier, you pull it down as quickly as you can. And you oops, you admit it. It's one of the most practical lessons I've learned in this life is if you make a mistake, admit it. And the ego doesn't want to admit it, but it's freeing. And because we don't continue to resist it, the universe doesn't keep pounding at the door of our resistance. So say, oh, I made a mistake. Let it go. We've made many mistakes in the past. We don't know how many. Too many to count. Let it go. The Guru is never looking at our mistakes, looking at where are we going from here? Where are we going from here? So, spending time with the Guru, spending time with the writings, with the going through the picture in meditation, the practice of Kriya, serving the Guru. And there's many ways to serve the Guru. We can serve the Guru serving dinner to the family. But we can also serve the Guru in serving the spiritual family and acting as channels to increase the Guru's ability to touch people, to acting as a channel for the Guru. And that is a little harder to fully accept. We can accept that, oh, if I cook a meal for somebody, that this is a good thing to do. But to take on the responsibility of representing the Guru in a conversation, in an opportunity to awaken the light in another person, this is scarier. This is it's like, well, who am I to get involved in this? But we are disciples. As a disciple, we represent the family all the time. And so we need to be aware of the ways in which God and Guru want to live through our lives. We have to be willing to do that. We have to, many great teachers never wanted to teach. Kriyanandaji never wanted to teach. He didn't want to get up in front. But Master said, well, you better get used to it. It was what he was given to do. Swamiji said that a person who wants to be a guru shouldn't be a guru. We all understand the idea of that, but I think that the fact is that as Swamiji himself exhibited in his later years, his interest in helping others was so great that he had what you would call the desireless desire to serve others. He was willing to do whatever he had to do, even stand up in front and teach, if it would help others. And this is what we have to understand, is when we serve without ego, then it's not I want to do this. It is Spirit, and many times simply spontaneously flowing through us. Maybe even in ways that we don't realize. And so we need to be on the job of our discipleship 24/7. And oftentimes we need to ask ourselves, Guruji, why are we here? Why am I in this place? And sometimes it's because we had a desire, but sometimes it's because even if we had a desire, God is going to use us to do some small good. Maybe it's just meeting somebody and smiling at them and saying, bringing some small light into their life. Or maybe it's to have just a chance conversation with somebody in which you can just slip in autobiography of Yogi. Just slip it in. Just, the seed has been dropped. Let's see if the soil receives it properly. All kinds of opportunities that we have. And we may be at risk when we do that. We may be at risk for being embarrassed or, oh, what are you? What are those crazy yogis? Yeah, okay. So your opinion is less of me. That's okay. If the Master requires us to get roughed up a little bit, that's okay. That's okay. That's our offering, our willingness to take a chance. And this is one of the things that we are being asked to do is to take a chance. If we read the lives of many saints, whether they had dreams or life experiences in which they were challenged, ultimately that challenge is take a chance. Express your commitment in spite of your hesitation, fear, and knowing. You don't know how things are going to turn out all the time exactly, but when we have developed faith in the Guru, we will trust that things will work out in the end in the best way. And oftentimes we can't see what that best way is until we get to it and we look back and we go, oh, that worked out pretty well. I didn't think we were going to make it. But we did. We did. And this happens all the time in the spiritual life, where we didn't see, and this of course makes life interesting, if we knew the exact end result of every action of every situation, life would be quite boring. But because we don't, because that's kept from us, then life becomes much more interesting. And then we have to take a chance. We have to stand up for something. We have to be willing to say, I'm committed to this. And when we say I'm committed to this, that doesn't mean we stop thinking. It means that we think on a higher level. We think on a level that's in deeper and deeper attunement to the Guru, whose job it is to free us from limitation. The one other thing I want to mention is if we want to deepen our relationship with the Guru, then we have to spend time in satsang and fellowship. We can be inspired by each other. The newcomers inspire the people who've been doing it for a while with their youthful enthusiasm, with their newfound determination. And of course, people more experienced on the path can share the benefits of those experiences in a variety of ways. And the point is that we all continue to energize each other in the direction that we want to go. And that our group magnetism is a stronger power to draw the blessings of the Guru. And this we've seen over the years. I've experienced this in my own life. The number one best reaction to any time you find yourself out on a limb somewhere, you're not sure how you got there, why you got there, or you know exactly what happened, and you realize that you've gone out in an unhelpful direction, is to come back to the Sangha. Spend time in the Sangha. This is such a huge benefit. And the proof of it is that no matter what area of interest in life is, the people who spend the most amount of time doing it get the most out of it. And that's really the key, is the more time we spend doing it, being in it, the greater our ability to do it on our own will be. So take advantage of these opportunities. They may seem like, when you eat your meals every day, and like if you eat at home and mom's cooking is good, you just eat it every day. Oh, this is normal. This is normal. But if you went out into the desert for 1 or 2 or 3 weeks and didn't eat anything at all, and you came in home and had one of those meals, you'd go, wow, this is the absolute greatest meal that's ever been cooked in the universe. And this is what we need to do every day, is not to let our spiritual life become ordinary. Keep it extraordinary. Keep it on that higher level where that intensity, that awareness, you won't be able to do it every day, but that's the goal. And when you live around, Kriyanandaji, he was such a challenge to be around. Master was such a challenge to be around, because they live on this very intense, high level all the time, to where you really think that something incredible is just about to happen. It's like, you're just like, oh, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. And people are going to go to town and just go to the movies. No, I don't want to miss it. Now, Swami went to the movies. Okay, I'm going to go to the movies because I don't want to miss it. I don't care what the movie is. I just don't want to miss it. And when we live inwardly connected to the Guru with this I don't want to miss it consciousness, then we have increased our chances of not missing it 1,000-fold. And then remind the Guru, say, Guruji, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss your presence. I don't want to miss God's purpose in my life. I don't want to miss the joy, the peace, the opportunities to share. So guide me, protect me, be with me. Namaskar.